What's going on? This is Jay Alonso, and today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/beat and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download the title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/BEAT. I completely forgot how the song Streets of Philadelphia actually starts.
Well, it starts like any Bruce Springsteen you could do like, walking down on Memphis, and that's pretty much what Bruce Springsteen
A lot of Springsteen songs pretty much tell you what he's doing at that exact moment.
Well, Springsteen does a lot of like Northeast stuff. Yeah, it's whatever he's basically doing. Lost Love.
I just got out of bed.
Yeah, but
making some bacon and that.
Or it's incredibly inspirational music.
Or a weird mixture of both.
A little bit.
Yeah. What's up, good people? Welcome back to Classics, the cinematic movie podcast that takes you back to the iconic films of 20 years ago, right here on the Big Three, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Of course, celebrating our artist showcase. Black History Month is almost over, but at the same time, we were still here knocking it out, showcasing the man himself, Denzel Washington. Second episode of the week. I'm your guy, Jay Alonso. With me, of course, is
Danger Neff, David Danger Neff, and this has been already a long week.
I'm tired.
I'm tired too.
I'm tired.
For those of you who don't know, Jay just announced that this was our second episode for this week. We literally just dropped today our previous show of Training Day,
which was a lot of fun, actually.
It is, and I will actually be at the Level Up Expo this weekend at the Las Vegas Convention Center. You can catch me there. I'm going to try to be there all day. Otherwise, I may just be antisocial. I may cut out early. I don't know. It depends on how dope it is.
And to all the fans who will bump into Dave, I apologize in advance. I very likely will not be at Level Up this year only because I have a lot going on. So, including moving into a new apartment. So.
They basically approached me and they were like, "We need you to be the token black guy today." And I was like, "Okay, but you're all black." But it's and black, they were like, "Yeah, but you're honorary." And I said, "Well, Wakanda forever, brother. Wakanda forever."
Yeah, that's what we said. Well, today being the second episode of the week, we covered most of the movie news on the last episode, on the Training Day episode. And with this being the Denzel Washington artist showcase, we decided to give y'all a few awesome facts about the man we know as Denzel Hayes Washington of Mount Vernon, New York. Holding it down. I know my Denzel facts. I do.
You know what I like about this movie that pops up? They have a lot of like stuff that later on would become influence. So, for example, Dr. J is in this movie, right? Of course, because he's a Philadelphia icon.
Right.
And then did you see where Andrew Beckett is from, his hometown?
Is it Virginia?
No, it's Lower Merion, Pennsylvania, also known as where the high school of Kobe Bryant actually played through.
Oh, you had to bring up Kobe.
I did. I had to bring up Kobe. This is my monthly Kobe.
Kobe. Jesus Christ.
So Monday, it's his memorial. I'm going to be so sad.
I'm going to be sad. Well, I just found out that
I'm also broke. So I can't.
They're going to be streaming it or showing it on ESPN, I believe.
Okay.
So at least we get a chance to actually watch it. Before we get into some Denzel facts, before we get into today's movie,
who you got this weekend in the fight?
Deontay Wilder and Fury face off again. We had a little talk before we got on the air. I'm going with Wilder because you always bet on black. No, I personally, to me, I think Wilder's a better fighter. But that's just me though. But you did make some great points as far as why you think this is Fury's to win for sure.
Yeah, I think. Wilder's coming in with a new coach, and Wilder is a better brawler, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But this is boxing still, so the better boxer usually tends to win.
Right.
In my opinion, Fury, even after the two knockdowns, there's an argument. Really, I'm cool with the draw, but there was definitely an argument that Fury just kind of swept him, throughout that entire thing. But I get it. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna go with Fury. It would not surprise me if Wilder wins.
Another side note: have you checked out what's the name of this damn show? Hunters, the new Jordan Peele show with Al Pacino.
Nah.
First episode is awesome.
Is it?
It's awesome. I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's great to see Al Pacino really in a good form, and he's not just, well, y'all head up her ass.
Yeah, because he finally remembered how to act.
Yeah, and
he's not clawing his way back to
claw their way.
But no, the only thing I really checked out was season 2 Fleabag.
Yes,
I'd been meaning to catch it because I kind of plowed through season 1, and the first episode of season 2 is a little devastating, like how everything is just kind of set up. So I don't know. That's definitely a show that I think a lot of people should check out. Even I don't really care like what your thoughts or beliefs are. It's a really good show.
Yeah.
It's just really good in general.
So let's get into some Denzel facts here. I pulled up a few, which I thought was very interesting. One in particular, which has been...
You know what? Let's do this. Let's switch this up. Read me... All right, let's see if you can do this on the fly. Read me like 3 facts. One of them has to be a lie, and I have to guess the lie.
Oh, okay. So 3 facts, 1 is a lie.
Yes.
Got you. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So on the fly, we'll do this one. Denzel Washington was the original choice to play Blade. And then Wesley Snipes was cast, obviously. Denzel Washington currently lives in New York City. And let me do one more. Dropped out of junior college with a 1.7 GPA.
I'm going to say New York City.
That's the lie.
I don't think he lives in New York City.
He lives in LA, obviously. Think about it for a second. Denzel Washington playing Blade?
That would have been dope. Let me try it.
Can I really, visualize that shit?
Let me try this. This is going to be fun.
All right.
Sorry, this is literally on the fly.
This
I was just
fly.
Instead of doing facts, because you always hear facts. Friends with Samuel L. Jackson, Viola Davis, Gerald Mitchell, Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Ada Williamson, and Tom Hanks. As of 2018, has never appeared in a Best Picture Oscar winner. And the September 30th, 1985 edition of Variety announced the film Reunion, directed by Reggie Life, had begun filming in Trenton, New Jersey and New York. Actors were Denzel Washington and Terry Alexander. The film was never released.
I'm going to go with the Best Picture one.
No, that one's true.
No shit.
He has never been a Best Picture winner.
No shit. That's crazy.
Isn't it?
So
the lie was the September 30th. It's September 25th.
Oh, so there was a movie that he was...
There was a movie. Totally. All of that was true. The date was wrong.
All right. Give me that back.
This is fun.
Give me that back. There we go. All right. So, so we'll do one more each and we'll get to today's movie. Okay. Here we go. The longest he has gone without an Oscar nomination is 11 years between Training Day and Flight.
Ooh.
Let me see. He was considered for the Wesley Snipes role in Jungle Fever, White Man Can't Jump, and Blade.
Okay.
He was, wait, I lost it. Sorry. He has, oh damn, I lost my whole entire place. I'm sorry, folks. He was considered for the role. It's gonna be a full blown lie. He was considered for the role of Wesley Snipes' character in To Wong Fu. That's a full blown lie.
That's a straight up lie.
That's a full blown lie.
Was he approached for this?
Yeah.
No.
All right. No. I'm
Why would somebody do that?
All right. So make sure I got my facts together. So one was the longest he has gone without an Oscar nomination is 11 years between Training Day and Flight.
I find that
the second
hard
one,
to believe.
His son has never appeared. J.D. Washington, the now famous J.D. Washington, has never appeared in a movie with his father. And the third one change it up real quick. Was considered for the role of Detective Ricardo Tubbs in the original Miami Vice show, which went to Philip Michael Thomas.
I'm going to go J.D. Washington.
You're correct.
Yeah,
J.D. Washington.
I could have swore he had him with like He Got Game or something like that.
That's right. I thought the same thing, but it turns out he's never been in a movie with his father.
Huh?
That's crazy. But it is true though. They did offer him Miami Vice before he went to Philip Michael Thomas, and it's also true that he went 11 years without a single Oscar nomination between Training Day and Flight. So we're talking like 2001 to like 2012.
All right, let me try this. All right, I like this. That's good. For Crimson Tide, he trained at the National Training Center at Fort Irwin in California, where he actually qualified on a submarine tech. I guess it's a very specific submarine here. And participated in battles and actually listened to audio tapes of submarine battles that were happening there. To prepare for his attorney role in Philadelphia, he met with two lawyers who were about to become celebrities in their own right, Johnny L. Cochran Jr. and Carl Douglas. And has worked with both Fanning sisters. He worked with Dakota Fanning in Man on Fire, and he also worked with Elle Fanning in Deja Vu. Which one of them is a lie?
The Fanning thing.
Nope.
What?
He's worked with both of them.
Elle Fanning's in Deja Vu?
As a little girl.
Oh, shit.
The first one was a lie.
Which was
That was the Crimson Tide one?
That sounded so believable, too.
For Courage Under Fire, he trained at the National Training Center at Fort Irwin in California, where he qualified on the M1A1 tank and the 120 millimeter gun, participated in battle games, and listened to audio tapes of tank battles in Desert Storm. Man, that must have been a really interesting role for him to research.
Shit. A quick side note, he's a huge fan of the TV show Monk.
That doesn't surprise me.
Nope, not at all. And then, of course, he donated $1 million to save Africa's children. So,
and then there was something with like Forbes, like his dollar per capita is something ridiculous.
According to Forbes, for each dollar he got paid, his movies averaged $10 of gross income.
That's insane.
Insane.
That's absolutely insane. So that's kind of our quick little facts on the man that we've been covering.
That's kind of cool, actually.
That was a lot of fun. I really like this Two Truths and a Lie.
Yeah, I like that. It's pretty good.
So we'll probably continue that. Let's pay some bills.
Let's do it.
Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/beat and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download the title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audible.com/BEAT to get started. Why Audible? Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, and entertainers. Personally, I've been kind of in between a couple of different books, but I decided to go back through Stephen Fry's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because I just really love that story. I think it's hilarious. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/beat. Again, that's audibletrial.com/BEAT for your free audiobook.
That's good reading, sir.
Now that's good reading.
All right, so let's kick off the third movie in our Denzel Washington Artist Showcase, with that being the heavy watch, Philadelphia.
Here I am at work watching this movie, and I'm like, oh God, like my headphones.
Oh dear.
I'm listening to the language, and I'm like, oh Jesus, like please calm down with the language.
That's
like
heavy, sir.
I'm pretty sure everybody just heard that word. Like, that's bad. Really bad.
Philadelphia, original release date December 22nd of 1993. Shares opening weekend with Batman, Mask of the Phantasm.
Yes!
Love that movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
Grumpy Old Men.
Very good.
Heaven and Earth. I want to say that is a Oliver Stone flick.
Okay.
Shadowlands, no fucking idea what that is. And, of course, Tombstone.
Wow.
Not a bad weekend.
That's an amazing weekend.
Production budget $26 million with a box office total of $206.7 million.
Really?
Yeah, it makes some money.
Really?
It makes some money.
That movie made $200 million?
Over $26 million budget.
I'm surprised that the budget for the movie was $26 million, to be honest. That's the more surprising part for me.
Yeah.
Because this looked like, how much of that was salary to the cast?
I think it's more so like for them, like points on the back end for both Hanks and Denzel.
Had to maybe makeup
for $26 million.
Like $26 million to make. Don't get me wrong; they did an amazing job on makeup on Hanks to make it believable. But man, that is a high budget. You know what? I want to see the budget.
Yeah. Movie holds at 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You think that's fair?
Now rewatching it, yeah. It's just a heavy flick, though. It is.
It's not one of those movies that you really like go back to. Like I hate to say that because this movie was absolutely monumental in terms of what it would do for the LGBTQ community, Q plus. Is that how we say it now? LGBTQ
plus. Yeah.
All right. Community. This is based on a true story. And you were saying that it won a couple Academy Awards.
Yes, it did. It won 2 Oscars for Best Actor for Tom Hanks, who beat out a few people. Who did he beat out?
So, off the top of my head, I know he beat out Fishburne for Ike Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It. Pretty much his best role he's ever done. And then he also beat out, and this is why I think it's a little controversial because it's both topics are sensitive, but I think at the time the other sensitive topic held a little bit more weight, and that was Liam Neeson in Schindler's List.
Who else in that category? Do you remember?
Nah, not really.
Fuck it.
I can look it up.
Well, you do that. Best original song with The Streets of Philadelphia by Bruce Springsteen.
This movie actually had 2 nominations because it had Streets of Philadelphia, Bruce Springsteen, and then Philadelphia by Neil Young. He beat out also Anthony Hopkins in The Remains of the Day. I don't know. I'm aware of it. And Daniel Day-Lewis in The Name of the Father, which is the church one. Yeah. I actually know that one. So this movie actually has a lot of really great performances, and not just from Tom Hanks, but also Denzel. Denzel really kind of plays a more of an extension of himself, with a small little exception. He's very homophobic. Very homophobic.
And for him to be
uncomfortably
homophobic and to be the lawyer of a homosexual with AIDS, it definitely makes you question the genius, yet what the fuck, really? Like how does that work?
I don't mind. Look, again, I don't mind a lot of the stuff that they kind of pull in this, but this was definitely one of those movies that you kind of have to like sit down and just kind of plow through because there's a lot of really nasty language in this movie. A little shout out to Antonio Banderas for playing the partner to Tom Hanks, and he looked amazing in this. And he acted incredibly well. I actually don't. I'm curious. Did Denzel get nominated for supporting actor in this?
No, but I believe he was nominated for supporting actor at the Golden Globes.
At the Golden Globes?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know. Like this movie is a little tough. This movie kind of kicks off. We get the introduction to Andrew Beckett, who's played by Tom Hanks, and Beckett is obviously is homosexual, but
yeah,
I don't really think he acts it. He's very much like it's not a wide okay, it's not a caricature of homosexuality. He plays like a very, very normal person in this. He's a senior associate at one of the largest corporate law firms, which is like Wyatt Walker, blah, 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 right, out in Philadelphia. And he hides his homosexuality, and you actually come to find out very early on that he actually has AIDS from something that happened in his past. as you could tell that he's very vibrant in his personality, you could tell he really loves the law. And this opening scene actually kicks off with him doing litigation on a construction site against Denzel Washington, and they're kind of going back and forth with each other. Hanks is using, I don't want to say big terminology, but terminology you don't normally hear, like the word innocuous.
Right.
Which Denzel,
can you spell it?
Right, which Denzel picks up on, and he was like, innocuous. Like, he kind of calls him out on it. He's just like, why couldn't you just like dumb it down and make it easy for me, like a 6-year-old to understand, or something like that. It's true.
Yo, side note.
That is played too often in this.
Seeing that scene reminds me immediately of Kevin Hart and Romany Malco in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, here's the thing. You don't speak too many big words at me because I don't know what they mean. I'm taking it as disrespect. Watch your mouth.
So Hanks wins a litigation. And because of it, he meets up with all the major partners as he's wrapping up the case. It's like 10:30 at night. Mm-hmm. So it's clear that he's a very, very hard worker. And the partners go, they bring him in, and they congratulate him, and they say, great, we want to go ahead and give you our biggest case ever, right? And it's a case with like a group named Highland. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing about the case is about capital gains. I'm not going to get too much into it, but basically, it was a huge opportunity for Hanks. Hanks was ready to step up for it, and they had to get it in within the next 10 days. So this is how shitty these people wind up becoming in the next 10 days.
Right.
And the whole reason why is because there's a statute of limitations for it to basically clear. So if fast forward to 9 days later, Hanks has been working at home. And also at the very end of the meeting, as he's shaking hands with everybody,
the partner notices
right. One of the partners notices what looks like a bruise. Mm-hmm. It's a lesion at the scalp of Hanks. It's noticeable, but it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
This then turns into a thing. Because what happens is that Hank spends the next few days at home as he's getting treatment for his AIDS. The partners don't know that he has AIDS. And he winds up walking into the office, drops off the litigation papers on his desk. You clearly see that's on his desk. And he had a saved copy on his computer when the next day he becomes incredibly sick. And while in the hospital, Antonio Banderas comes in. He's all acting super Latino in this, super gay Latino in this, and it's kind of great. Where he's just showing a lot of concern for the family, for him, because they want to go ahead and do a colonoscopy.
Right.
Hanks didn't really want to do that. He gets beeped. He calls the office. Nobody can find the papers. Right. They actually have Bradley Whitford, who's known as Josh in The West Wing, looking through these papers, trying to figure out everything. Where is everything? And at the very last moment, they were able to find the paperwork, file it before the deadline, so everything goes through. Fast forward to a couple days later. Hanks comes in and goes in. Hanks comes in and goes in with the partners. And actually, what happens is that you get the point of view from Denzel Washington before this happens,
right?
Because you see, and it's actually, I'm sorry, I said a few days later. It's several months later. You see Denzel Washington. He's trying to hustle, and he has a commercial on TV because everybody's just keeping, hey, you're the TV guy. He's trying to hustle and trying to get new business that's coming in. When Hanks comes walking in, and it's very noticeable that he looks absolutely different from once had kind of like this floppy set of hair and relatively healthy. Mm-hmm. Now he had stubble and he had a shaved head, and he did look absolutely sick. As he goes to shake hands with Denzel.
Now this part right here is something that has always stood out to me because, he walks in, he's clearly sick.
Yes.
And when he shakes Denzel's hand, and he goes, hey, Andrew Beck, how you doing? And the first thing comes out of mine is, I have AIDS.
Well, the first thing that comes out is like, yeah, I'm doing well. And he goes, I got fired.
That's right. Yeah,
I got fired. And he goes, oh, what happened? And he goes, well, the partners found out I have AIDS.
And then the reaction that Denzel gives, like, oh. He almost like he pulled back with the handshake.
Yes, he did. It was very,
and then wiped his hand, didn't he?
He did. So it's a little hilarious because I've seen people do this just in general, and I'm not going to call him out, Dad. But I'm just kidding. But I've seen people do this where all of a sudden you hear that somebody is sick, and hey, man, I got to make sure that I'm not sick. You know, and it's actually understandable. You know, that was probably something that Hanks could have gone for. But the truth is at the time, Denzel had very little knowledge of this.
Right.
All he had at that point was his prejudice. And he even said, sorry, I don't really want to take your case. He goes, I think your case and I would be very much going against each other. Right. Because Andrew decides to tell him that I'm suing my former company and this is why. When they showed like what happened, it was pretty clear that like the company was the company was like, oh, we're suddenly going in a different direction. But it really, really seemed like they were just trying to like push him off and be like, sorry, your future with this company is no longer
because
safe.
of both with the AIDS.
So then you get a scene later on where Hanks is in, and this may actually be my iconic scene of this film. You get a scene where Hanks is pouring through law books, and he's clearly in like the Philadelphia Public Library. Right. And a guy comes up, and one of the library attendants comes up, and he goes, "You're absolutely right." He says this out loud. I was like, dude, what a piece of shit are you? Like, can't you tell that this is probably something that should be kept private? You know, or something that you should at least be a little bit more hushed tone on that.
Right.
He was just like, yes, you're absolutely, yes, you are right. There is a case of AIDS discrimination but he's like saying this out loud. So the people around him, they start poking up and they're sort of like, what?
Who's got it?
Who's got AIDS, right? And they all are just staring at Andrew at this point. And I got to give credit to Andrew because it's not that he's oblivious, it's that he's not willing to let it harm him.
Right.
He's not willing to let it define who he is. So, also in the process, Denzel is sitting there also studying something, right? It's late at night.
I don't know if he says that, but he's slightly worried that he can catch AIDS, like it's contagious.
Well, yeah, and actually, he went to the doctor immediately afterwards, and they showed this doctor, and the doctor straight up said, you can only catch it through transfer of bodily fluids, right? And that was it. But it was interesting because this is 1993. Like a lot of people didn't know what to expect. The only thing they knew is that AIDS kills people because right around that time, Rock Hudson had died in 1987. Mm-hmm. And he also had Freddie Mercury pass away in 1992, 1993. So clearly everybody has a stigma about it. Right. So the dude was trying to get Tom Hanks to move into a more private room. When Hanks finally refused, basically everybody around him got up and basically left. Right. And so going through it, like Denzel comes around and he was like, "Oh, did you find somebody to represent you?" And he was like, "No." He was like, "No, I'm a pretty damn good lawyer. Like, I'm going to see if I can represent myself." Mm-hmm. Denzel takes pity on him for probably the first time, and again, this is a scene that's out there, but the scene right before it, he's having a conversation with his wife. And he's just talking about how he doesn't like homosexuals. And the whole stigma about it with him was that he sees homosexuals as like these predatory men or women that just come up and the only thing they want to do is get into your pants. And he drops like the word faggot probably like 7 times in this. And in every way they say in the word, it's out of hate. Right. It's out of spite. And it's hard to listen to.
From Denzel at that.
Yeah. I mean, in general, it's hard.
Well, yeah,
but you're absolutely right. From Denzel, such a likable actor, for him to kind of take on this role of basically being, I'm going to be the asshole now, and I'm going to be kind of the dude that's saying what everybody's saying, what everybody's thinking,
right?
It's kind of fucked up.
Definitely fucked up. The one thing I will say about this movie, it represents a time when, I guess you call it the AIDS epidemic time.
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
people had no fucking idea what AIDS was, but yet are incredibly scared of shit. Now it's like, wait, what? Is it in the air? I can breathe it? It's one of those things where once it became, a thing, you didn't know how to properly go about it. Or if you knew somebody that had it, it's like, I can't talk to you anymore now. It's weird.
Right. So, again, it's very much like, to be honest, like this isn't just an AIDS thing. It's whenever somebody gets hit with like a debilitating disease, it's like in some ways you don't really know how to like be there for them. I know that sounds shitty. I'm not trying to sound shitty, but sometimes that those that people that are dealing with a mental illness or an actual health or something that's riskful to their own health, you're trying to find ways to connect with them on their level, but you're ignorant in what they're going through, so they can't do the traditional normal stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of tough because you absolutely want to be there, but in some way, but you almost have to find your own way to be there for them, and that sounds crappy. It really does. I don't have an answer for that.
So as the case goes before the court, excuse me, the partners of the firm, which is one of them in particular, is played by Jason Roberts.
Right. Real quick, right before that, we get this really, really, really great scene though, because the partners are all in a suite in Philly, watching the 76ers play. They get to meet Dr. J, right? Because he comes walking right in.
The cameo.
And then afterwards, Denzel comes walking in and goes introduces himself, and he goes, by the way, you got served. Like that. And then shakes the hand, Dr. J. He goes, you get a slip and fall, you get anything, you let me know. Passes out his business card, and Dr. J was like, hey, you're the TV guy. He was like, yeah, I'm the TV guy, and like walks out. But then the scene right afterwards is where you know the stigma is being talked about.
Right.
Because they're basically saying this. They said, Andrew lied to us. He brought AIDS into this building. He brought AIDS around the workplace. He brought AIDS at the office Christmas parties and picnics and barbecues. As if like Andrew was doing this on purpose.
On purpose, right?
Right. And one of the guys had the most logically sound thing to say. He said, we should just get a settlement with him and then let this all blow behind us. And he goes, he's the one that lied. We should be the one suing him. Like, just a lot of spite, he's like, I don't understand these faggots and the way that they do these things. Again, this really hateful stigma that's just out there. Go ahead.
The partners, one played by Jason Roberts, which though an actor I've always admired, he just plays a piece of shit in this movie. Like you said, these claim that Andrew was incompetent and that he had deliberately tried to hide his condition.
Right.
And this is their defense in court.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's disgusting because you have Charles Napier who's playing the judge, right? And there's a lot of there were a lot of like who was the actress? Oh my lord. Oh my god, Mary Steenburgen.
Yeah.
Right. So she plays basically like the prosecution side. And again, going through the whole process, they're basically jotting out everything. All right. It seemed like Why would you get? It seemed like Andrew was very hardworking. It seemed like he was a guy that you guys absolutely liked, you know. And they tried to turn around. They were like, "Well, he was very mediocre,"
Right.
and it's like, "Nah, dude. Like that was not. I didn't see mediocre work right there.
Right.
Like I saw a dude." That was like busting his ass off for this place.
And they also, the defense tries to repeatedly say that Andrew brought AIDS upon himself by having gay sex.
Yeah.
Therefore, he's not a victim. He did it to himself.
Right.
Which is like, how heartless can you be about this?
I mean, and that's funny because again, the dude who was suggesting the settlement, he was like, "Come on, guys, have some compassion for him." And it's like, yeah, that right there. Have a little compassion for him. He's clearly getting sicker, literally by the seams. Mm-hmm. Just keep going. They had a really nice thing where Andrew goes and he not that he introduces Miguel, who's and Antonio Banderas, but they take him back to his house and like kind of starts explaining everything, and he had to like prepare the family for everything they're going to throw at him. But I'm gonna pretty much fast forward to the end of this. Is that okay?
Good. Do that.
So the end of this, they get Andrew on the stand, and Andrew is clearly getting worse. Andrew has found a way to basically break the homophobia of Denzel.
Which I thought their moment of them bonding was actually a very strong, solid moment. Actually.
It was, and what it basically was that there was a gay party, right? Mm-hmm. And so they threw this party at the house, and Denzel and his wife were there. He dressed up like a lawsuit. All right, he was wearing a suit and he had a whole bunch of law papers on there. Whereas Miguel and Tom Hanks were dressed as sailors, yeah. Right? Yep. And the whole time, just like everybody kind of doing their own thing, having a lot of fun, you know. And at the end of it, the whole point of it was Denzel wanted to basically put him on the stand and want to go over the Q&A. And instead, there's this really heartbreaking description of a aria from an opera that's being sung that Tom Hanks is basically translating for him. Right. You know, talking about how the song feels she feels all alone. And even though some of the music will make it feel like it's getting increasingly hopeful, they know that there's a plummet that's getting ready to happen.
Right.
And from there, and from being able to communicate that, they basically skip the Q&A. Putting Andrew on the stand, they go over everything. They go over like what his work ethic was, you know, the type of person that he was, and everything seems good. They go to the prosecution, and the prosecution does this thing where they bring up a mirror, and they ask Andrew in a trap question, because again he's getting increasingly worse. In the trap question, they said, "Well, if we took a look at your face, do you have any obvious lesions on your face right now that as a person from 3 feet away can obviously tell that that's an AIDS lesion?" Right? And there wasn't any at the time. He said, "Well, there's one right by my right ear." And she goes, "Now remember, you're under oath. Can you pinpoint to me where it is from looking at you from the mirror?"
Right.
And he couldn't. So, we got you now. You know, how could we know that you had AIDS? You know, if we couldn't actually see them, because I was a part of the defense things. Then
he doesn't have AIDS, we couldn't see it.
Right. Then Denzel basically comes up and he says, "Andrew, with your permission, I would like do you have any of those same lesions anywhere on your body?" And he goes, "Yeah, all over my torso." And he goes, "Can I have you remove your shirt?" And he opens up and you're seeing these lesions and they're disgusting. Right. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like they're all over the place. They're huge, you know, and he holds up that same mirror and he says, "Can you see these on your body?" And obviously the answer was yes.
Right.
Right. goes to the verdict of the case. And I really like this because they actually showed very briefly to the jury room. And he goes, we obviously could all see the lesions. He goes, but here's the way that I look at it. And here's why I don't really believe, the story that's kind of being told from the other side. They said, all right, if I'm a pilot and I'm sent to go destroy an enemy base, they make it seem like he was a rookie.
Right.
I'm not sending a rookie to kind of show what he can do to bomb this enemy spot. So if they get the highest profile case that firm has ever gotten, are they really going to give it to a rookie or somebody that they fully trust can actually do his job?
Right.
Which is what basically sold it from there. Andrew, in the process, though, towards the end of the trial, actually collapses, as he's pretty much knocking on death's door at that point.
Right.
And the jury awards $5 million in damages to him. And that evening, Andrew actually passes away.
Well, Joe Denzel actually visits the family, and he visits Andrew in the hospital after the verdict, and he overcomes his fear enough to touch Andrew's face.
Right.
Which is a really strong
It is
moment.
because Andrew's having this moment where he's coughing because he's trying to speak with him without his oxygen mask on. Right. And he's suddenly, at that current moment, too weak to actually be able to talk or breathe. And so Denzel goes and he puts the mask on. It's a great moment. It really is.
Yeah. And then he also tells Miguel that he's ready.
Yeah. He's ready to go.
And at the home that night, at Denzel's home that night, Denzel and his wife, they get the call that he did die peacefully. And the memorial is held at Andrew's family's home following the funeral, where people are there, including Denzel, the family. They view movies of Andrew Beckett as a happy child.
Yeah,
and the movie wraps up. I guess it wraps up with a somber note, but at the same time, really giving you some awareness as to what people who deal with this disease truly do deal with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the hatred and the what's the word I'm looking for?
The stigma.
The stigma of it
has to go away. Yeah. And the reality of that, again, this was definitely more of Tom Hanks' performance. Yeah. Denzel did an excellent job as playing the converted homophobe. The
comeuppance for Denzel is really what stands out. Well, that's not what stands out, but it definitely why we chose this movie as part of the.
It's definitely there to kind of show that. Yeah, he's always played a badass, but he hasn't always played a good person.
Right.
And that's kind of the whole point of this. Strong movie.
Takeaways.
Really strong movie.
That guy worked.
It's got to go to Andrew. Mm-hmm. It's not that I don't want to give it to Denzel, but Hanks does carry this performance. You really feel for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the moment that I think it was the first time we ever saw Tom Hanks die, and it kind of breaks you a little because you already like Tom Hanks enough. So to see a possible outcome from that. I don't think he ever died until Saving Private Ryan, like later on. I don't even think Apollo 13 didn't die. They made it.
Yeah, you're right. I can think of another movie he actually died in. That's crazy. Except Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
And after that, even that's a iffy. I can't think of nothing after Saving Private Ryan where he dies in it.
Yeah, I can't. Catch Me If You Can. Not
The Terminal. No, he didn't. No.
Not in Terminal. No.
Cloud Atlas.
Okay, sure.
All right, yeah, okay,
fine. But yeah, so I'll give it to Andrew Beckett. It is it's his movie, plain and simple.
That Full Award. I'm sorry, that Chick Award.
I will give it to the other prosecution because she does eventually say, like, she was just doing her job. And then, like, at one point, after she did the whole mirror thing, she said afterwards, she was like, I hate this case. as if to say, I'm not comfortable with taking this case,
demeaning this man like this.
Yeah, because that's what was happening. They were demeaning the character of who Andrew was.
Right. That full award.
I gotta give it to the head of the law firm, the obvious antagonist here,
because
they had no problem cracking gay. They had no problem cracking gay jokes and whatnot, and going through that routine.
Right.
But yeah, man, you still felt afterwards okay, no, you guys totally deserve to pay
everything that's coming to you now.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Pretty much.
Cut that out.
I would shorten it. I think there's a couple of scenes I could probably shorten that don't really stand out, and I don't think you miss any of the impact.
Okay,
but I can't really say a particular scene. But so when he's at his family's house and he's kind of explaining everything, the scene goes for a while. Right. This is a 2 hour and 5 minute movie. That scene goes for 7 minutes.
For a good 7 to 10 minutes, actually.
Yeah, so you could probably shorten that to 5, and I feel like you still get the impact.
And iconic scene.
The library scene. I think the library scene is that moment that you see that this is a man alone on his island.
Right.
And he needs a lifeline. He needs something because very likely he wasn't going to survive long enough to see the end of this trial, and B, very likely he wasn't going to win because he's representing himself. Regardless of how great of a lawyer you are, you're representing yourself against a major law firm and all of their resources.
The biggest law firm in the city.
In the city, yeah. So that guy award for you.
That guy award, I'm with you. I was going to give it to Denzel, but I'll get to him in a second. I'm going to go with Andrew Beckett because the battle he has to really fight throughout this movie, one is incredibly touching and really sad at the same time because while you're dealing with being unjustly fired, you're dealing with this killer disease. And the people around you who are just learning about what this actually is, and then having to explain yourself, but at the same time, like you said, he's a man on an island by himself.
Yeah,
and Miguel Antonio Banderas does what he can to be as the biggest support to him as he can be, but you're not the one with the disease.
Right.
So therefore, you have to go out of your way to really, number one, be comfortable with it yourself because you're the one who's fighting it versus how the world views you now. So,
right, exactly.
Yeah, so definitely Andrew Beckett.
So right, exactly. So whatever his personal decisions were, and they weren't devastating. They were just, I'm a gay man and I'm lonely.
Right.
At a time period where nobody was taking it as serious as it was, because the AIDS epidemic. Because it didn't get serious until after Rock Hudson died.
Right. After
Rock died, everybody was like, "What the fuck is this disease? How can I avoid getting it?" You know?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they're like, "Well, you can get it from gay sex," and then all of a sudden it's like, down with the homosexuals and whatnot.
It became the blame on homosexuals, which is the craziest thing.
God, that's so awful to think about.
Yeah.
That's just awful. That chick award.
I would give it to Belinda, the defense attorney, Mary Steenburgen. She's doing her job, but you can definitely see that even when you're doing your job with a case that is making you uncomfortable, and what you're doing is ultimately wrong, but you still have a job to do, and you see that it was beginning to affect her. Not just from a standpoint of I may lose here. No, I don't like the fact that I have to go over here and have to demean this man for $1.
Right.
Which is horrible.
For my paycheck.
For a paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
That full award.
Easily Jason Roberts. He is disgusting in this movie.
Yes.
And it's sad because you have people who think and act that way.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting. And you wish they would just dude, I hope you fucking die homeless and broke.
Right.
That way you can feel what it feels like. You know what I'm saying? I don't wish AIDS upon you. I wish that you just, all this lavish lifestyle that you live, I wish it gets swiped from you in a heartbeat. And then you got to deal with how to really probably adjust to that shit. Because people like them look down on people like us
yeah,
fuck do I care?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're shit to them.
Right.
Cut that out.
I'm with you on cut that out. It's movie's tad bit too long, but at the same time, with it being tad bit too long, it's very effective. But I would shorten by maybe a solid 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think you can get the point of this movie in an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, I'd also that'll be it.
Yeah. There was like this scene. You know what? There's a scene for might cut that out. There's a scene where like Denzel gets hit on by a gay guy, you know, at a drugstore, right? Because clearly showing representation, TVs on him and whatnot. And Denzel again goes back to using that harsh language again against this obvious gay man, you know, and it just, man, he just afterwards like at that point in the movie, you're like, haven't you learned anything yet? You know? And, you know, of course, feeling like a piece of meat like that, sure, fine. I guess I could look at that from Denzel's perspective. But it's like, dude, you took it too far. Right. Like, you can just say, sorry, man, I'm straight. You know, I'm not really interested into what you're selling. Right. You know, I'd probably cut that scene out. Yeah. Iconic
scene. I'm doing a little different. It's actually a combination of 3 scenes. And it really involves both Tom Hanks and Denzel. It's the very beginning when they have the little spat. The middle section when he does tell Denzel that he has AIDS, and combine that with when Denzel said, "Have you found a lawyer yet? I think I want to be your lawyer."
Right.
And then the final scene when Denzel has the courage to, and not even the courage, the fact that he loves Andrew enough to where I'm going to touch your face.
Yeah, no, all solid scenes.
I chose those 3 because one, you look at the dynamic between a AIDS victim and somebody who was at one point homophobic, have a phobia of all diseases, and especially one that involves gay men. And then you also look at another thing that we didn't really talk about, the black-white perspective.
Right.
Which I think is very strong in this, because you have Andrew, who is the white man with AIDS, and then you have Joe, who is the homophobic black lawyer, and they're not supposed to mesh. They're not supposed to mesh at all.
Right.
But you let a little conversation, you let a little heart get into it, and you really kind of see Joe's come up into really realizing like he's a fucking human being, and this is fucked up how they're doing you, and I want to make sure you get your just due, regardless of how it's gonna play out. I kind of felt like Joe kind of felt like he knew Andrew wouldn't make it all the way through this case, but I'm gonna fight with you to get your just due, whether you make it through or not.
Yeah, that was definitely a strong possibility. And they kind of they really start to make that apparent, because there's this another really great scene where Banderas gets mad right before the gay party. He gets mad at Tom Hanks, right? You know, because he doesn't want to do his treatment on that particular day. You know, and look, man, like after a while, when you're doing this treatment stuff, you know, for whatever, for anything, it could be cancer, it could be, you know, a debilitating disease, it could be having an IV. You just kind of feel like a pincushion. Right. You're just getting stuck everywhere with stuff, and then you have to stay there, and then, you know, you have to hope that the medicine is working for you, and then sometimes the medicine just feels like it's poison to you, you know, and just keep going all the way down that list. You know, it's just a really, really awesome scene, but, you know, it's also difficult to handle in general.
Let's get to some quick hits real quick. I got those lucky 7. So we'll start with this. The home movies at the end, which show Andrew as a child, are real life videos of Tom Hanks in his childhood, which is dope.
Tom Hanks had to lose almost 30 pounds to appear appropriately gaunt for his courtroom scenes. Denzel, on the other hand, was asked to gain a few pounds for his role. Washington, to the chagrin of Hanks, who practically starved himself for the role, would often eat chocolate bars in front of him. Of course he would.
Asshole. John Leguizamo turned down the part of Miguel in favor of Super Mario Brothers. The best choice? Probably not, but, you know, it is what it is.
There was this, you know what, and Leguizamo probably would have done this really well. There was a statistic that there were 53 gay men who appeared in various scenes in this movie and within the next year. 43 of them had died. On his Entertainment Urban Legends revealed website, Brian Cronin, more or less confirmed but also corrected the statistic based in part on an NY Times article and other research. According to Cronin, the movie's producers approached the Action AIDS nonprofit organization in Philadelphia and asked it to help recruit as 50 extras, 50 or so gay men whose appearance was indicative of their having AIDS. Contrary to the statistic, the 40 or so who subsequently died, including Ron Hodder, who played main character Bob Seidman in the film, did not die in the first film after the film was either produced or released. Rather, they died over the next few years thereafter. Freelance writer Clifford Rothman also wrote about the subject in a 1995 New York Times piece that further confirmed at least some of this information.
All right. Originally, Jonathan Demme was going to cast a comedic actor in the role of Joe Miller, as he felt it would be a good counterbalance for Tom Hanks, who had already been cast, and to give an audience that it's okay to watch a film about a gay man dying of AIDS. Demme had considered casting either Bill Murray or Robin Williams, but when Denzel Washington showed interest in the part, he gave the role to him instead, because Demme had wanted to work with Washington for the past few years.
Based in part on the AIDS discrimination lawsuit by Jeffrey Bowers, a young lawyer working for a prominent multinational law firm. On December 4th, 1986, he was fired by a vote of the directors and departed the firm the following day. The directors originally decided to fire him in July of that year, sidestepping company policy by not interviewing his supervisors, asking for a list of his clients, or ascertaining his billable hours. His supervisors protested, which delayed his firing, but the partners voted again that October, 12 votes to 3. The initial vote in July to fire him took place 2 months after Bowers received good marks on a routine performance evaluation. The vote of dismissal took place 1 month after the positive evaluation and 1 month before firing Bowers, as with Hank's Andrew Becca character. Bowers also suffered from the visible lesions caused by Kaposi's sarcoma. The case took 6 years in all.
And finally, as of 2020, Denzel Washington's last role where he does not play the main actor.
That makes sense.
It does.
I keep going back to Two Guns, but I think he was the main.
I think the only thing about that that's kind of iffy is
American Gangster.
No, not American Gangster. He's definitely leading that. But I would say The Preacher's Wife, which technically you could argue Whitney Houston's the lead in that.
Unless they're talking lead male actor.
Lead male actor. Okay, well then that's a little different. But
right.
If it's about the lead star, that was pretty. You can argue that.
It has to be lead male actor.
Yeah, it must be.
Has to be, right?
I mean. Well, then again, he's lead. He's been the lead in everything, male or not. He's lead in everything,
except for this.
Huh? That's crazy.
Oh yeah, he's not going to play a supporting role. Why would he?
I don't think he's against it, but he just that's just what he gets.
No, I think there's a stigma.
You think so?
About I mean, okay, so back in in the 30s and 40s, right?
Uh-huh.
Like a lot of times people would turn down roles because they wanted to be the lead in the role,
right?
You know, and there's a lot of like Gone with the Wind missed out on like 5 fantastic actors at that time because none of them were going to actually be the lead role because it was going to go to Catherine.
I think he's more so looking out for the good story.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. Cause let's just say, you know, if we were ever get this lucky to catch Denzel like in a Marvel flick, I think if they put Denzel like Black Panther 2 as like, you know, T'Challa's grandfather or some shit, it's like, okay, it'd be weird to see. But at the same time, like I don't think he's really against really playing the supporting. That's just what he gets. He's just the lead. I mean, because we're so used to seeing him play the lead, it'd be weird to see him like play second fiddle to anybody.
Let me ask this: what franchise would you love to see Denzel be a part of?
If I could rework it myself,
yeah. I mean, no. As a continuation, like the franchise is still going. Mm-hmm. Now he's going to be in this next movie.
Call me crazy. I would let us see Black Panther. See him in Black Panther.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think John Wick.
That would be fucking nuts.
Would it be?
That would be nuts. Wait, you got Larry Fishburne and Denzel? Yo, the budgets went up.
Yeah.
Easy. 20 million.
Easy.
Well, that's the show, everybody. Thank y'all for rocking with us today. It has been a long week, but damn it, it is coming to an end. As this show is wrapping up, we'll be back next week for one more Denzel Washington focus show where we will cover the all-inspiring, all-fantastic Malcolm X. With that being said, Danger Neff, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at David Danger Neff. I am the co-host here at Back to Classics, and I'm really, really, really tired. So I'm just going to go and pass this over, pass the ball out, and check out here. My guy, Jay Alonzo, where can they find you?
You find me on all the social media simply at I am Jay Alonzo. That's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Of course, my other show, Turn My Mic Up with the Fellas, does drop every Friday. We just shot the last episode 2 nights ago, so it should be out today as we record the show. Of course, the Back to the Classics movie talk page on Facebook. Both Back to the Classics pages are up and popping. Go ahead, jump on in there and join the conversation. And with that being said, don't forget to look out for Danger Neff at Level Up Expo this weekend. And
I'll at least be there Saturday.
Yes. And also take the time out to shout out both my mom and my dad for their birthdays. One turned 60, the other turned 61. Just want to do it, just to do it. And also shout out to my little niece. Shout her out, man. Lourdes. Lulu. Happy birthday, baby girl. And besides that, we will be back next week. Another one. We're going to wrap up Black History Month very strong. With that being said, I am Jay Alonzo. With me, as always,
Danger Neff.
See you next week, folks. Peace.
Peace.